Hello, hello, good afternoon. It's Monica from Life is Art, and I am just jumping on here for our 4:45 demo during the Catalogue launch party. And I'm just trying to find the link for the video so that I can get it going here on the event page, and I can't seem to find it. Oh gosh. Hopefully I'm broadcasting live in the right spot on YouTube, but currently it's not showing up anywhere. Do. Bear with me, we have a lot of growing pains with this switch to YouTube, and I'm finding it difficult. I am going to check and see if I can get it on my laptop. At all. Okay, I see we're live on the laptop. So that's good. Let's move our video down a little bit closer. We're working on a card today. And let's also move ourselves a little over to the center. Let's get a little bit focused, a little bit centered, and hopefully we have good focus today. I've noticed that the videos are coming through showing kind of dark, which is surprising because I have a lot of lights on, but that could just be me. But, okay, so I'm going to move this. However, I have yet to find the link on my thing where I can actually post it. So let me see. And of course my laptop is way over here, so I have to go for the big reach. Let's see if I can get a link from here. Copy and go into the launch party. I am not used to using my laptop. I haven't had it that long, and I don't use it for a lot of stuff. And so I find it's very awkward for me. I'm so much quicker on my phone. So let me see if I can. Okay. Let me see if I can post it that way. There we go. I am so sorry. I know this is so awkward for everybody to have to sit and wait while I fiddle with things off the side of the screen. We're here to see some crafting. We don't want to deal with this. Okay, I think I've got it posted, so hopefully everybody can find us. We are live. I still haven't found it on my phone, but we shall watch it on here. I see Heather has found us. Hello, Heather. So for those of you who have subscribed to my YouTube channel and have hit the notification icon, which looks like a little bell, then you will get notified as soon as I go live, and you don't have to wait for me to fiddle around and put the link on. So we have been looking at the new January-February catalog, and we have done a walkthrough. We've done some crafting with the first collection in the catalog, and now we're going to take a look at something from the second collection in the catalog, which is the Sweet Memories collection. And this is a really pretty vintagey inspired sort of heritage, romantic kind of collection, pardon me, hiccups, and lovely color combinations of mulberry, periwinkle, mist, sage, and mink, along with some white daisy. So we're going to be using some of the paper and stickers, some of the coordinating cardstock, some die cuts, as well as the card making stamp set. Now, I did not buy the stamp and thin cuts, so I have to do a little bit of fussy cutting. But you know me, I love my fussy cutting. So let's get started. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can say replay, and I will see that at that time too. And hopefully I will see your comments as they come up. I don't always, but I look at them at the end. So at least I do see them eventually. We're going to start off today with the standard size card base. This is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It comes pre-scored. We have them in a value pack, and you're going to fold it with the bump side of the score line to the inside. Folding it down, you can either use the handle of your scissors or your bone folder to crease it. This card I'm going to be creating is going to be a vertical orientation, and I should mention that I am in fact creating one of the cards from the catalog. I'm creating this one right here. And one thing that I enjoy sharing, because it's usually an aha moment for a lot of people, is I enjoy sharing how to do measuring on something that you see on Pinterest, in a magazine, in a catalog, and you aren't given any instruction as to sizes or anything like that. I know that this is a standard sized card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So if I take a scrap piece of paper, now granted, this method is easier if you're doing a 12 by 12 layout because it's an even number. It's 12 inches. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my scrap of paper across my card and I'm going to mark it. So I know that that mark is going to be 4 1/4. And then I'm going to figure out a 4-inch ruler for this card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this scrap of paper and I'm going to fold it, leaving a little bit of a gap. And because I have lined paper here, you can see where my paper ends and where there's a little bit of a gap. And I have kind of gotten used to eyeballing things like this, but I'm leaving a little bit of a gap. I'm not creasing down hard, and I'm going to fold this over again. And that creates 4 layers of paper here, 1 for each inch. And if I look at this without creasing it, and I say, okay, that's half, that's a quarter, does that look like a quarter? Pretty close. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze down that roll of 4 layers of paper. I'm going to mark where it ended as my 4-inch mark. And I'm going to open it up and I'm going to write a 4 right there. So I know that that second mark is my 4 1/4. Then on each of these crease lines, I'm going to mark 1 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inch. Now, we're going to need things that are smaller than inches. So I'm just going to come along and eyeball the center of each of those. Those will be my 1/2 inch marks. I tend to make them bigger. And then I'm going to mark halfway in between each of those, and those are my 1/4 inch marks. And now I have created a custom ruler just for this card. Now it's possible if I took my 4 1/4 inch ruler that this card would work for it as well. And maybe other cards in the catalog might work, but there's no guarantee. So you may have to create an individual ruler for each one. Now, if I take this ruler, I can take a look at this and I can say, this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That's easy. What's my sage piece in behind? So I know it's 4 1/4. Now, if I was to cut an entire piece, I would want 3 3/4 of an inch. However, that seems wasteful to me. I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch strip and a 1/4 inch strip. Then I have this periwinkle paper. If I cut an entire piece of paper, I would want 3 1/4. However, I want to save bulk because this is going in the mail and I want to save paper. So I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch strip. Again, 4 1/4 the other way. Then my camera paper here is 2 1/4. So you can quickly see how useful creating these little rulers are. What size of circle do we need? Ooh, we need a 3-inch circle. So that helps me come up with all the measurements that I need to recreate this card. So I'm just going to keep this off to the side like this. I've got my card base. We're going to have it opening to the left. Now you could do this without a pre-cut card base. You could make it so that it is a top opening card, so it opens this way. I'm going to go with this. Hey, Michelle, you have your dinner and you're watching the entertainment. Woohoo! Dinner and a movie, dinner and a show. All right, so the first layer that we need is that background paper that's the ledger from the pattern paper. And I've just gone ahead and cut that. The back side is the beautiful camera. Now this has been cut to the full size of the card front. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my adhesive on here all the way around like so. Take my backing off. Now I just realized that I forgot to get out my circles thin cut for cutting that circle, so you'll have to bear with me while I dig through my thin cuts to find that. But there we go. Now I want to keep this part at the top because that makes the numbers the right way and these words the right way. But I like to line my fingertips along the fold of my card and then rest my pattern paper at a 45-degree angle and slide towards my fingertips and line it up at the top and the bottom. And as soon as my fingertips feel that it is lined up, because I trust my fingers more than my eyeballs some days, then I can lay it down and it pretty much always ends up where I want it. Then we're going to add on the camera layer next because we've cut little strips to save paper and bulk. If we were using full-size pieces for all these layers, then our sage would be the next one. But I have my cameras here, which are 4 1/4 by 2 1/4. Now I want to make sure that this is in the center because everything is going to kind of build off of it. So if I line myself up here, I'm going to go by the 6-inch line and I have a 5 1/2. So that's 2 1/2 and right there. So we're going to line it up centered on that 6-inch. And then I'm going to add some adhesive, not right at the very edge. I'm going to come in a little bit. That way I can kind of tuck those other layers underneath. Add my adhesive. And this is really handy because all of our pieces go right from edge to edge. So this is the same paper as the backing. So I could cut one strip and then cut the pieces that I need from it. So I'm conserving paper. Now this is a 2 1/4 inch piece. So we're going to have 1 1/8 above and below our 6-inch line. So we're going to end up right about there. And look at that. We've got ledger lines on there that keep everything nice and straight. Gotta love that. Then we have our 2 strips of periwinkle. And again, here's another one where it's working out well. We've got periwinkle on one side and that sage on the other. So again, I could cut the same 4 1/4 size all the way down my paper and I could get all the pieces that I need from that same bit of paper. And so if you're making multiples of this card, say you want to make a set of 4 for a gift or send it out to a bunch of friends, then that would make it easy. Now, because I didn't put adhesive right to the edge of my camera paper, I can slide just ever so slightly under this and line my paper up from side to side and stick it down. And it still has that look of being layered because I'm tucking it under that first camera paper. Now I'm going to turn it around because I find it easier to tuck under towards myself like this than away from myself. Sometimes you have to wiggle to get it under there. I do have a tool that's supposed to help with this, but I find I only have so many fingers available. And sometimes it doesn't quite, I don't quite always have enough fingers. So now this last little piece are these 1/4-inch strips of sage. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to get that tape lined up properly. So I'm just going to add a little bead of liquid glue running right along beside that periwinkle. And then I can take my sage pattern and try to tuck that under. And if I get it in the glue, it's okay because we're tucking it under. Let's see. I don't have the proper tool handy, but I'm going to use my piercing tool to lift like that all the way along. Get my sage tucked in. There we go, like so. And then, you know what, I'll do a preliminary lift so that it's a little easier. I'm going to spin my card around again. Don't worry, we'll put it back the right way, fingers crossed, before we do any final embellishing. That's always the hope anyway, so that you don't have your card upside down with the fold on the wrong side and the sentiment upside down. You know, it never quite looks the way you want it when that happens. So we're going to tuck under the periwinkle. That sounds kind of fun. Under the periwinkle. And then that one went too far under. There we go. Just like that. Put the lid back on our glue. Now we've got some fun layering happening. The first layer we have is our circle. So pardon me for just one moment while I grab my big bin of die cutty things and rifle quickly to find my circle thin cuts. It usually doesn't take me too long to find them because I use them all the time. They are the most used die cuts. Those are the older ones in my craft room, but I've been away for a day or two, so things have kind of gotten a little out of place. Let me see. It's very tight squeeze in here in my bin of die cuts. I think I've gone past them. And I think the old one doesn't have the largest size. I have two circles thin cuts. One is the older version from years ago, and one is the newer one, and I think it's the newer one that has the 3-inch circle. Ooh, so tight. That's hearts. Well, I didn't think it would take me this long. Okay, yeah, no, that's the old one. It does not have the 3-inch circle. You know what? I think that will be a 3-inch circle. Because I can find that one. The problem is they're all magnetic, so they all stick together. And I'm pretty sure that is, yes, it is. It's a 3-inch circle. So this is actually the shaker, window, and confetti, but good enough. We just need a 3-inch circle. And we're going to cut that out of this beautiful Mulberry pattern paper from this collection. So I'm not even going to tape it down. I'm just going to stack it and run it through the machine. There we go. One way or another, we got ourselves a 3-inch circle. And put that down. And then we can get this out of the way. Just like that. Whew. That was fun. That was exciting. We're going to put that back on the magnetic sheet. There is our circle. Isn't that beautiful? I love that mulberry. Now we're going to, let me see. Are we going to, no, I'm not going to add any foam tape yet. There is going to be some foam tape, but not just yet. I'm going to add this down just as is. A couple pieces of adhesive. And we're going to kind of center this on our camera from side to side, top to bottom, just like that. Isn't that beautiful? I love how all those patterns come together. Are you loving this? Hey, Mom, nice to see you're watching. And then I need to do some stamping. So the stamp set that we're using is the Card Making Sweet Memories stamp set. And the first thing I want to stamp is this panel that's going to go right on top that has the Hello Friend on it. And I've got that loaded up on my block. I've seasoned it, but I have not used it yet. So let's give it a go. I've cut myself a piece of the French vanilla cardstock that is 3 inches by 1 1/4, and we're going to be stamping it with the mist ink. So let's just grab this, ink ourselves up. Now I should be using the back side of the Versamat for the nicest possible stamped image. However, let's give this a try. I'm going to move it closer to myself because I have to line it up on this rectangle. Try and get it as nice in the center as I can. Get a little squeeze and a little minute for that ink to transfer. And there we go. Our lovely stamped, kind of looks like a ticket or a label. And then we're going to come in with the sentiment, which is Hello Friend. We're going to use Mulberry ink for this. So I've got it all lined up on my block, seasoned it up, because I only just opened this stamp set today. So it's never been used. You should always use things for the first time on live video. And then we're going to stamp our Hello Friend in Mulberry. Set that aside. So that's all ready to go, but we've got some other things happening here. In behind, we have the frame from right here that's stamped in behind. Now it is stamped and then thin cut, but I don't have the thin cuts, so I'm going to stamp it and fussy cut it. I'm going to just scooch that out of the way and ink this up. And I'm going to use the black ink for this. Get it all good and inked. You always got to double check when it's the first time using a stamp and make sure you seasoned it enough. And stamp that down like that. Looks good. And because we are not using the die cuts, we're going to use our micro tip scissors and we're going to trim this out. Now I'm going to do a rough cut first to get rid of some excess paper. And the die for this cuts a nice scallopy edge. Now, whether my fussy cutting ends up being as nice and scallopy as the edge for the die remains to be seen, but we're going to give it a try. Just do your best. You're going to leave a halo. Now, this is not a solid edge image. There are some bits that just stick out like in the center of each side, but you just kind of guess, take the law of averages or whatever you want to call it and average out where you want to go with your scissors. And I'm just doing short little swoops and I'm allowing the paper to slide between my fingers as I pivot it. And I'm going to end up with a long tail of scallopy edges. I kind of lost my grip there for a second, so that swoop looks a little weird. And I'm going to get rid of that excess. And all the way around. Now, if fussy cutting is not your thing, especially for things like this, I would recommend the dies. I just have a liking for fussy cutting, and it doesn't bother me. I find it relaxing, actually, weirdly enough. So I just go ahead and cut it myself. Now, there is one more layer. I love all these layers in this because I think it looks super cool. So that's going to layer up like that. But there is one more layer in here, and it's this little tiny blip coming above and below. And that is actually from the sticker sheet, and it is this frame. So you can kind of think for yourself and decide, am I going to use this little frame for just these little blips on either side to add another layer in here, or do I want to skip that layer? So I've been debating amongst my brain here, trying to decide if I want to save it for another project. And I think I do. I think I would rather save it and incorporate it into a different project. So I am going to be satisfied with these 2 layers on top of the circle and skip that 3rd layer. But you, of course, can make your own decisions and decide for yourself. Now there's one other item on here, and that is from the sticker sheet, and it's this little crown. Now I don't see myself using that crown for anything else, so I'm going to go ahead and use that for this layout. But I want to add a bit of foam tape. So this is the thin 3D foam tape, which means it's thin. It's half the height this way of the regular foam tape, and that allows you to be able to put 2 layers of foam tape in the same space, thickness, however you want to put it, of regular foam tape. So let me just grab my anti-static pouch here, because what I want to do now is everywhere where there's still sticker showing, I'm just going to dab at it with my anti-static pouch, and that's going to de-stickify my sticker, turning it into more of a die cut. And then I will be able to stick it on my card and not have the little edges get pushed down and stuck down. So I've got that, and then because this is popped up with foam tape, I'm also going to pop this up with foam tape. So let's add some foam tape on there. I'm going to use the thin 3D foam tape. And I'm just going to kind of go around the square here. It's kind of a square. Like that. And if I'm feeling generous, I could put a little bit in the center. Okay, so let's stick this on next. Take the backing off. We don't have to de-stickify this because this is already just cardstock. You could be adding inking to any of the edges on this project, because I think this type of collection really lends itself to a bit of that distressed, inked, worn look. But it also has sort of a crisp, springy feel. It's kind of a weird phenomenon, I guess you would call it. And then we're just going to center this in there. This is going to go on top, and I think we're going to add a little bit of foam tape in the center. So we're going to add some of that thin foam tape. And then at either end, where it overhangs the part in behind, we're going to add a little bit of the thick foam tape. Because if I added the thin stuff on the ends, it would have like a bow to it, because we've already got 2 thicknesses of the thin foam tape in the center. So we need double thin, which was standard foam tape. I hope that makes sense. And whoops, we're just gonna remove all those backings. I knocked over my stamp block. There we go. You always have to think about the layers and how they interact with each other when you're figuring out how much foam tape. There's a little piece of hair that got stuck in my foam tape. I'm gonna say that's probably my hair. All right, and this one we want to center on top of this, like so. And then our crown we can tuck underneath. Now there is an embellishment on here that is not part of the collection, and that is the silver glitter gems, which are fun and especially look good with this little crown. We're going to tuck this crown kind of in behind these two items, kind of on a little jaunty angle there like that. And then we're going to bring in the die cuts before we get to the glitter gems, the Sweet Memories die cuts. And from this, we want to get this little dovetailed flag that has a heart in it. And it's right here, so we don't even necessarily have to take it all the way out of the bag, because we're going to use the heart too. And then we need a slightly larger heart. And I think maybe this would count as a slightly larger heart right there. And there's lots of really fun die cuts in this collection. All those beautiful swirls and cameras and a few different titles. And there's a key, lots of little, I don't know, filigrees or whatever you want to call them. So there is our little die cut. And these are just paper boards, so they don't add a lot of weight or thickness, but they do add a nice little bit of decoration. Now I'm going to dip these into some glue to get them stuck down. So I'm going to put a tiny little bit of glue on my hand and grab my tweezers, because we've got a little bit of a peekaboo spot now where that heart came out. And so this we're going to line up with that sage, and it's just ever so slightly going to touch the corner, or the edge. I guess there's no corner, it's a circle. The edge of that circle. And then we're going to grab these two little guys, dip, dip, dip. And we're going to put one right there on the camera pattern paper. I kind of turned it funny when I squished it down. And then this one we're going to dip, and we're going to add right on the edge of this, like that. And then we're going to grab the piercing tool that we set aside over here, and our silver glitter gems. And let me see, yes, we need some big ones and some little ones. There we go. I've cut my sheets up for different projects, so let's grab a big one. And I find the easiest thing to do is use my piercing tool, just slide right under there and pop it up, and then I can add it where I want it. So let's add a silver glitter gem right here, and then we're gonna slide a little one, and we're gonna stick it on right about there. And then let's grab another big one, and we're gonna add it right in this little intersection in between all three of these pattern papers, just like that. Let's grab a little guy, and we'll pop it on here. I'm just following what's on here, and I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there's another little guy over here. Sometimes you have to take a serious hard look at it. We've got 1, 2, oh, there's another one here on the edge of the crown. Right there. And where else? Oh, one more down here. So they're doing 3 little clusters. So this one's just down here on the sage. So we've got these 3 little glitter gems down there. And then we've got 2 hearts and a glitter gem. And then we've got 3 more glitter gems up there. And I think that looks super cute like that. And that is our completed card from page 20 in the catalog, using that Sweet Memories card making stamp. And you can get it with the thin cuts. But there's our card. We started out with our value pack card base. We've got our ledger paper in the background. Then instead of using full pieces of our pattern paper, we cut strips of the camera, the periwinkle, and the sage to create that look with a little less bulk, adding in our circle in the mulberry pattern, and then of course that coordinating sticker in the mulberry, and then our stamped images from the stamp set, some die cuts, some glitter gems. And I wanted to jazz this up just a little bit more, going a little bit outside of the box of what's in the catalog. So I'm just going to scooch that to the side, and I'm bringing in the envelope that comes with your card bases. Just going to rub that glue off my hand so it's not bothering anybody who doesn't really like the look of glue on people's hands. And I'm bringing in the card making stamp set again. And I want to grab this little camera right here. I think it would make a nice little addition to the front of my envelope, because it's sometimes nice, and you can see I'm walking my new stamp off of the carrier sheet. Sometimes it's nice to add a little bit of something to your envelope, just so it looks like you've customized it a little bit, it made it special. Hey Robin, nice to see you're watching. You had a good workout. Awesome. You saw the last live. Very good. And so we're just going to season this, and you just rub it on your skin. That's what we mean when we season it. Oh, Robin's saying she's finally able to get foam tape at the Dollar Tree again. Yeah, it's been difficult. A lot of the stores have been having a hard time getting in some of their stock for things, because just with, you know, transportation and order minimums and all that. So I'm going to grab my little blending brush that I use for reds and things, and I'm just going to give it a little brush off here because I don't really want red, but I use one blending brush sort of for each color family. And so then in between, if I've used something really strong like scarlet or candy apple, I give it a little brush off so I know that it's a little bit cleaner. And I want to bring back in that mulberry. Now, before I go directly to my project, I'm going to just check it on my tissue here. And yes, that's looking like I'm getting some nice mulberry. So all I'm going to do, and I'm thinking about my envelope. So you're going to put your return address up here. You're going to put your, your recipient address. The stamp's going to go here. But we've got a little bit of blank space over here. I'm going to put just a little bit of mulberry. Just blend a little glow of mulberry in that corner. And then I'm going to grab, let me see. I was going to use mink. Yeah, I think I'll go with the mink. Let me just grab that because we used it before. Mist, not mink, mist. And I'm going to ink up this little camera in the mist. And I'm going to stamp it in the corner of my envelope. Now, this is a new stamp, so hopefully I seasoned it enough. And I'm going to just put it on a little angle and stamp it on there like that. And that's all you need to do. You're just adding a little touch. And when I'm decorating envelopes, I don't really necessarily want to add any layers of paper that could get stuck on things. I don't want to add any embellishments if I'm putting it in the mail. If I'm hand delivering it, go crazy. Do as you want. But for putting it in the mail, a nice little bit of just some inking and a little stamped image goes a long way to making that envelope look a little bit customized, a little bit made just for them. And so I hope you feel inspired by this Sweet Memories collection and from the inspiration in the catalog. And so we're going to end our live video here. And I don't think we even have time to do any more crafting today, but we do have our crop coming up starting on Thursday at 9 a.m., our 4-day monthly crop. And so we will be doing oodles of crafting then. So be sure to tune in for that. I will be posting a few more things. And if you'd like to place any orders during this catalog launch party, feel free to message me. The ordering is available right up till midnight Eastern Standard Time for anybody ordering from Canada. So sadly, I can't take orders from other countries, but Canada I can. And yeah, have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Toodaloo. Bye.